The morning sun shone bright over New Seoul Colony as families started their day, like any other day. Min-ho Kim was 8 years old and loved to play in his backyard garden. He took small rocks and pretended they were big spaceships flying between the stars. His mother Yuna always kissed his forehead before leaving for work at the colony office. She told him to stay close to home and be safe. The gray-skinned alien pirates watching from their hidden ship above the clouds did not know something very important about Yuna Kim. She was not just a simple office worker, she was General Yuna Kim, one of the most feared military leaders in all of human space. For 20 years, she had fought terrible battles against alien enemies who tried to hurt human colonies. She had won every single fight and saved millions of people, but now she lived quietly on this peaceful world, trying to give her son a normal, happy life. The aliens watching did not know they were about to make the biggest mistake of their lives. When the sun was high in the sky, the Vorthon pirates attacked without any warning. Their black ships came down through the clouds like giant metal birds. Their weapons shot bright beams of energy that broke all the colony defenses. In seconds, these gray aliens had done this many times before. They were experts at raiding human settlements and taking people to sell as slaves in the dark corners of space. They moved fast through the streets with their scanning machines looking for the best victims to steal. The pirates wanted young, healthy humans because they sold for the most money in the slave markets. Min-ho was playing alone in his garden when their scanners found him. He looked perfect, small and innocent from a rich, peaceful colony that had never seen war. The boy heard strange noises and looked up to see scary alien faces staring down at him. He tried to run, but a blue energy beam hit him, and everything went dark. The pirates grabbed his sleeping body and carried him to their ship like he was just a piece of valuable cargo captain. Vex was the leader of these pirates, and he was very happy with their catch. Human children were worth more money than anything else they could steal, especially ones from safe inner colonies like this. The sleeping boy would bring them enough credits to buy new weapons and ships for many months. The pirates loaded Min-ho into a cold metal cage and prepared to leave. They had done this exact same thing on dozens of other worlds, and it always worked the same way. As their ship flew up into space and jumped to light speed, Captain Vex sent his usual message to the colony government. Pay us 50,000 credits in 7 days or the child disappears forever into the slave trade. This was how they always did business. The scared colonial leaders would pay the money quickly to save the child, and the pirates would escape to find their next target. It was easy money, and they never got caught. But when the pirates sent their ransom message, something very different happened. Instead of the usual frightened pleading from colonial officials, they got complete silence for several long minutes. Then a single voice came through the communication system that made even these hardened criminals feel cold fear in their hearts. It was a woman's voice, but it carried the kind of authority that only came from years of commanding soldiers in deadly battles. General Yuna Kim did not beg or cry or offer to pay money. Instead, she made a promise that would haunt the pirates' dreams. She told them she would find them no matter where they tried to hide. She would hunt them across every star system and through every asteroid field until she got her son back, Ben. She found them and she would find them. She would show them exactly why alien pirates throughout the galaxy whispered her name in terror. The pirates had heard stories about the legendary General Kim. She was the human warrior who had never lost a battle. The tactical genius who had defeated entire alien fleets with smaller forces. The woman who had turned hopeless sieges into crushing victories. They had always thought these were just scary stories that humans told to make themselves seem tougher. But now they realized they had kidnapped the child of the most dangerous human military commander alive. Captain Vex felt his blood turn to ice as he understood what they had done. This was not just any human child. This was the son of a woman who had spent decades perfecting the art of war against alien enemies just like them. She had the resources of the entire human military at her command. She had loyal soldiers who would follow her into hell itself. And now she had the best possible reason to use all of that power against them. The other pirates on the ship started to panic as the terrible truth sank in. They had not just committed a simple kidnapping, they had declared war on General Yuna Kim, and everyone knew that. was the same as signing their own death warrant. The woman had never failed to bring her soldiers home from battle, and she would not fail to bring her own son home either. The hunt was about to begin, and they were the prey far below on the colony surface. Yuna Kim stood in the communication center staring at the blank screen where the pirate's message had come from. Her hands were steady, but her eyes burned with a cold fury that her old soldiers would have recognized. She was no longer just a worried mother. She was once again General Kim, the tactical mastermind who had made human military power legendary across the galaxy. The pirates thought they had captured an easy victim, but they had awakened something far more dangerous. They had taken the most precious thing in the universe from a woman who had the skills, knowledge, and connections to make them pay in ways they could not even imagine. The peaceful retirement was over. The general was going back to war. Within 1 hour of getting the ransom message, General Yuna Kim became a completely different person. The worried mother disappeared and the legendary military commander took her place. Her first call went to Admiral J, who had been her second, in command for many years during the wars. The admiral was shocked to hear her voice after so many years of quiet retirement, but when she explained what had happened, he did not hesitate for even 1 second. Admiral J gave her complete access to everything she needed: intelligence networks, tracking technology, weapons, and most important of all, her old battle team. The men and women who had fought beside her through the bloodiest campaigns in human history. These were not ordinary soldiers, but elite warriors who would follow General Kim through the gates of hell itself if she asked them to. The word spread quickly through military channels that the legendary general was back and going to war. Commander Su had been Yuna's intelligence officer during the Proxima War, and he was the best at finding hidden enemies in all of human space. When the admiral called him, he dropped everything he was doing and started working on the pirate ship data. The colony sensors had recorded everything about the alien vessel during the attack. Every ship in space had a unique energy signature like a fingerprint, and the military databases contained information about every known criminal ship in the galaxy. Working through the night, Commander Su analyzed every bit of sensor data from the brief battle. The enemy ship engine patterns matched known War-Hardened pirate groups that operated in the Kepler Nebula. This was a dangerous region of space filled with electromagnetic storms and asteroid fields that made it hard for normal ships to scan or communicate. The pirates thought they could hide there forever, but they did not understand how good human tracking technology really was. As news spread that General Kim was assembling her old team, veteran soldiers from across human space started requesting transfers to join the mission. These were not glory-seeking young recruits, but experienced warriors who had served under her command and knew her reputation for never leaving anyone behind. Sergeant Hyun had been her demolitions expert during the siege of Outpost 7. Lieutenant Day was the pilot whose impossible flying had saved entire fleets from destruction. Captain June commanded the Marines who had broken through enemy lines that everyone said were unbreakable. The pirates were monitoring human communication channels as they traveled deeper into their territory, expecting to hear desperate pleas and offers of ransom money. Instead, they detected something that made their alien blood run cold with primitive fear. Battle groups were moving into position around the nebula. Elite Special Forces units were being deployed to forward bases. Military chatter spoke of General Yuna's return with a mixture of excitement and fear that no ordinary colonial administrator could inspire. Captain Vex felt his confidence cracking as the pieces fell into place. They had not kidnapped some random human child. They had taken the son of the most feared human military commander in the galaxy. The woman who had never lost a battle, never retreated from a fight, and never left a soldier behind. The tactical genius who had defeated alien armies 10 times larger than her own forces. The general whose very name was whispered in terror throughout the Outer Rim territories where pirates thought they were safe. The other pirates on his ship were starting to panic. As reports came in from their contacts throughout the nebula, human warships had been spotted in sectors that had been clear for months. Several pirate bases had gone silent without explanation. Elite human commandos were asking questions in spaceports that criminals had thought were completely secret. The entire criminal network was buzzing with fear and confusion as they realized something terrible was hunting them. Captain Vex tried to calm his crew by reminding them that the Kepler Nebula was their territory filled with hidden bases and secret routes that humans could not possibly know about. The electromagnetic storms would hide their ship from any pursuit, and they had allies throughout the region who would help them escape. But deep in his heart, he knew they had made an enemy far more dangerous than anything they had ever faced before. The legendary General Kim was not just coming after them with anger and desperation. She was hunting them with 20 years of military experience and the full resources of human space command, backing her every move. The pirates had awakened a sleeping dragon, and now they would learn why smart criminals never targeted human children. The galaxy was about to see what happened when someone threatened the family of Earth's most dangerous warrior. General Yuna stood in the command center of Forward Base Delta, watching the tactical displays that showed her forces moving into position around the nebula. She had traded her civilian clothes for military uniform, and the transformation was complete. The gentle mother was gone, and the war general had returned. Her officers moved with practiced efficiency, carrying out orders with the precision that had made human military power legendary throughout known space. The hunt was beginning, and Captain Vex was about to discover that kidnapping Minho Kim was the last mistake he would ever make. The old mining station floating in the dead space of the Kepler Nebula was the perfect hiding place for criminals and pirates who wanted to stay hidden from the law. Electromagnetic storms swirled around the ancient facility, making it almost impossible for normal ships to find or scan the area. Captain Vex guided his vessel through the dangerous space dust and energy fields, feeling confident that no human forces could track them here. The station had dozens of docking bays filled with criminal ships, creating a small floating city of thieves, murderers, and slave traders. Inside the cold metal corridors of the prison section, young Minho Kim woke up in a dark cell that smelled of rust and fear. His 8-year-old mind could barely understand what had happened to him. One moment he was playing safely in his garden, and now he was trapped among scary aliens who spoke in harsh, clicking languages that hurt his ears. The gray-faced pirates looked at him like he was nothing more than a valuable object to be sold, and this terrified him more than anything. Fear crashed over Minho in waves as he realized how far he was from his warm, safe home. His mother always told him that Kim family members were strong and never gave up no matter how bad things got. But he was just a little boy alone among monsters in the cold darkness of space. The tears came hard and fast as he curled up in the corner of his metal cage, wishing his mother would come save him like she always did when he had bad dreams. The detention block held prisoners from many different alien species, all victims of pirate raids across the outer territories. An elderly Centaurian merchant with kind eyes spoke gently to Minho through the energy bars of their cages. He told the boy to eat the terrible food and drink the dirty water to keep his strength up, because rescue would come eventually. Humans never abandoned their own people, the old alien explained, and someone would come looking for him soon. A young female, Andromedan, in the cell next to Minho shared her small water ration with him, even though she barely had enough for herself. She had blue skin and large, sad eyes that reminded him of his teacher back home. Her kindness helped calm his fears, and she told him stories about her own family to help him feel less alone. The other prisoners all tried to comfort the frightened human child, even though they were suffering too. As the hours passed, Minho began to listen carefully to the guards' conversations, just like his mother had taught him during their strategy games at home. She always said that information was the most powerful weapon in any battle, and smart people paid attention to everything around them. The pirates talked carelessly around, him thinking he was just a scared child who could not understand their plans, but Minho was learning about the layout of their base and where they kept the important equipment. Meanwhile, far away at Forward Base, Delta General Yuna Kim stood in the GAI command center of the battlecruiser Indomitable, surrounded by the tactical displays and communication systems that would coordinate her rescue mission. The massive warship bristled with weapons and carried a full regiment of elite Marines trained for boarding actions and hostage rescue operations. But Yuna knew that raw firepower alone would not save her son. The pirates held every advantage in their home territory, surrounded by natural defenses and ready to kill their prisoners at the first sign of attack. This would require the kind of surgical precision that had made her legendary throughout human military history. a plan so bold and unexpected that the enemy would never see it coming. The briefing room fell silent as she began to outline her strategy to the assembled officers, rather than charging straight at the fortified mining station. Like the pirates expected them to do, Yuna's forces would infiltrate the criminal network using captured pirate vessels and forged identification codes. Small teams would insert themselves throughout the nebula, gathering intelligence and positioning themselves for coordinated strikes against multiple targets at exactly the same time. The criminals expected desperate parents to come rushing in with weapons blazing, making emotional mistakes that could be easily exploited. Instead, they would face the cold tactical calculation of a master strategist who had spent 20 years perfecting the deadliest military techniques known to human. Space Captain Vex and his crew thought they had kidnapped an ordinary child from a peaceful colony, but they had actually provoked the wrath of General Yuna Kim, and she was coming for them with the full might of human military precision backing every move she made. The first phase of the operation was already beginning as disguised human ships moved through the outer edges of the nebula. Their crews carried false identification and modified weapons that would fool casual inspections. Commander Sue had spent years studying pirate communication codes and ship recognition signals. His intelligence teams knew exactly how to blend in with the criminal traffic moving through the region. Back in his cold cell, Minho, Kim closed his eyes and tried to remember his mother's voice telling him bedtime stories about brave heroes who never gave up hope. He did not know that the greatest hero in human space was already on her way to save him, bringing with her an army of elite soldiers who had never failed a mission. The pirates thought they had captured easy prey, but they were about to learn what happened when someone threatened the family of humanity's most dangerous warrior. The first part of General Yuna's master plan began to unfold across the dangerous Kepler Nebula, like a deadly game of chess played on a board that stretched across entire star systems. Commander Seuss intelligence teams had identified 12 major pirate bases hidden among the swirling asteroid fields, and each one could be where Minho was being held prisoner. Rather than searching randomly and alerting every criminal in the region to their presence, Yuna deployed her forces with the surgical precision that had made her famous throughout human military history. Lieutenant Day piloted a captured smuggler ship through the debris field around Mining Station Gamma, using his modified sensors to map the criminal facility's defenses and patrol routes without being detected. The pirates had grown lazy and careless over the years, relying on the nebula's natural concealment rather than maintaining proper security like real military forces. His reconnaissance revealed serious weaknesses in their shield generators and blind spots in their sensor coverage that could be exploited when the time came for direct action. The criminal scum had no idea they were being watched and studied by some of the finest military minds in human space. Sergeant Hyun's demolition team prepared special charges that could disable a station's life support systems without harming the prisoners inside, forcing the pirates to surrender or face slow death by suffocation in the cold vacuum of space. Every detail was planned and practiced until the elite soldiers could execute their missions with their eyes closed. Captain June's Marines spent every waking hour practicing boarding procedures on mock-ups of pirate ship interiors, drilling endlessly on room-clearing techniques and hostage rescue protocols that had been perfected through decades of military operations. Every single second would count once the real fighting started, and they could not afford even the smallest mistake that might cost innocent lives. The general's reputation for bringing her people home alive was not built on luck or good intentions, but on meticulous preparation and flawless execution under the most extreme pressure. These were not ordinary soldiers, but elite warriors who had served with General Kim through some of the bloodiest campaigns in human history. They had fought alien armies on burning worlds and in the cold darkness between the stars. They had seen her turn hopeless defeats into crushing victories through pure tactical genius and unbreakable determination. If she said they could pull off this impossible rescue mission deep in enemy territory, then they would follow her orders without question or hesitation. Meanwhile, in his cold, metal cage on the mining station, Minho Kim had become something like a symbol of hope and courage for all the other prisoners. Despite being just 8 years old and terrified of the alien monsters who had stolen him from his safe home, he refused to break down or give up completely. The Kim family strength that his mother had always talked about revealed itself in small acts of bravery that impressed even the hardened criminals guarding them. When the pirate guards decided to punish a sick, Andromedan prisoner by taking away his food rations, Minho shared his own meager meal without thinking twice about his own hunger. When they tried to separate him from the other captives for private showings to potential slave buyers, he fought back with such fierce determination that even the gray-skinned Vorthons were surprised by his fighting spirit. Word of the human child's courage spread throughout the criminal station, and some of the pirates began to feel uncomfortable about their treatment of such a brave young soul. Captain Vex found himself growing more nervous and paranoid with each passing hour, as disturbing reports filtered in from his criminal contacts throughout the Nebula region. Human military vessels had been spotted, moving through sectors that had been completely clear for months. Several of his fellow pirate captains had missed their scheduled communication check-ins, which usually meant they were either dead or captured by law enforcement. Something was systematically hunting down and destroying their network piece by piece. The Vorthon captain had survived in the criminal underworld by trusting his instincts about danger, and those instincts were now screaming at him that death was approaching faster than a plasma torpedo. The ransom deadline was still 3 full days away, but he could feel the noose tightening around his scaly neck. He ordered his crew to prepare the ship for immediate departure, planning to sell the human child to off-world buyers, in distant star systems where even the legendary General Kim could not follow them. What Captain Vex did not realize was that every word of his escape plan was being intercepted and analyzed by Commander Seuss intelligence specialists who had been monitoring all pirate communications since the moment they took Minho. The humans had cracked their encryption codes years ago during previous military campaigns, and now they were using that knowledge to stay one step ahead of every criminal move. The trap was set and ready to spring. The pirates thought they were the hunters, but they had become the prey. General Yuna Kim was no longer just a worried mother searching desperately for her stolen child. She was once again the tactical mastermind, who had never lost a battle, and she was about to remind the galaxy why smart criminals never targeted human families. The greatest rescue operation in military history was about to begin, and Captain Vex was running out of time to realize just how badly he had underestimated the wrath of an angry human mother, who happened to be one of the most dangerous warriors in known space. The moment Captain Vex's ship began powering up its engines for departure, General Yuna's carefully laid trap snapped shut with devastating precision. Commander Sue's electronic warfare specialists had been monitoring all communications throughout the pirate network, and they detected the energy signature of Minho's prison ship the instant its reactors came online. Lieutenant Day's fighter squadron emerged from the asteroid field, where they had been waiting in silent running mode, their weapon systems targeting the vessel's engine nacelles to prevent escape without destroying the ship and killing the hostages aboard. The space battle that erupted around the mining station was unlike anything the pirates had ever experienced. These weren't the usual desperate colonial defense forces they were accustomed to, overwhelming with superior numbers and firepower. Yuna's fleet moved with the coordinated precision of a symphony orchestra, each ship and squadron executing their assigned roles with flawless timing. Captain Jun's marine assault craft punched through the station's docking bay shields, while Sergeant Hyun's demolition charges disabled the facility's weapon systems in perfectly synchronized explosions that sent shockwaves through the criminal stronghold. Inside the detention block, Minho heard the distant thunder of explosions and the whine of energy weapons, and his heart leaped with hope. He recognized the tactical patterns from the strategy games his mother had taught him, the way human forces coordinated their attacks to maximize efficiency while minimizing civilian casualties. The other prisoners looked to him with growing excitement as he explained that rescue was finally coming. The elderly Centaurian merchant wept with relief, while the young Andromedian female began organizing the captives to help with their own liberation when the moment came. Captain Vex screamed orders at his panicking crew as human fighters swarmed around his ship like angry wasps, their precise targeting crippling his engines and weapons without breaching the hull where the prisoners were held. He had never seen such tactical perfection, such overwhelming superiority displayed with surgical restraint. This wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration of human military might that left him feeling like a primitive savage facing forces beyond his comprehension. When General Yuna's voice cut through the chaos on all communication channels, offering him one chance to surrender and live, the Vorthon captain found himself staring into the cold eyes of his own mortality. The boarding action lasted less than 10 minutes from breach to secure. Captain June's Marines flowed through the ship's corridors like water, finding every crack and crevice, their movements coordinated by real-time intelligence updates from Commander Sue's scanning teams. The pirates who tried to resist were neutralized with non-lethal weapons, while those who surrendered immediately were secured without harm. Every room was cleared, every hostage accounted for, every threat eliminated with the kind of professional competence that had made human special forces legendary throughout the galaxy. When the detention block doors finally opened and Minho saw his mother's familiar face behind the visor of a combat helmet, his courage finally cracked, and he ran into her arms with tears of joy streaming down his face. The reunion between mother and son took place in the medical bay of the Indomitable, where Minho was checked for injuries while Yuna held him close and whispered apologies for not protecting him better. The boy insisted he was fine, that the other prisoners had taken care of him, and that he had tried to be brave just like she had always taught him. Her heart swelled with pride at his courage, but also with renewed fury at the criminals who had put her child through such an ordeal. The rescued captives from a dozen different species were being treated and prepared for transport back to their home worlds, their grateful thanks filling the corridors as word spread of their liberation. Captain Vex and his surviving crew members found themselves in detention cells far cleaner and more humane than the ones they had used to imprison their victims. The Vorthon captain stared through the energy bars at the human guards, still trying to comprehend how thoroughly he had been outmaneuvered and defeated. When General Yuna came to speak with him, he expected threats or torture, the kind of brutal revenge that pirates typically inflicted on their enemies. Instead, she simply informed him that he and his crew would face trial for their crimes, that the other prisoners would testify against them, and that justice would be served through proper legal channels, rather than the summary execution he probably deserved. The liberation of the mining station sent shockwaves throughout the criminal underworld of the Kepler Nebula. Within days, 3 more pirate strongholds surrendered without fighting, their captains unwilling to face the fate that had befallen Captain Vex's operation. Slave traders across the Outer Rim territories suddenly found their operations under intense scrutiny from human intelligence services that seemed to know their every move. The message was clear and unmistakable. Human children were not to be touched, not to be threatened, and certainly not to be taken from their families for profit or entertainment. News of the rescue operation spread throughout human space and beyond, carried by grateful families whose loved ones had been freed from pirate captivity. The story of General Yuna Kim's return to active duty became legend, told in spaceport cantinas and military academies, as an example of what happened when someone threatened a human parent's child. Alien species across the galaxy took note of the demonstration, recognizing that humanity's reputation for protecting their own was not mere propaganda, but a fundamental truth backed by overwhelming force and tactical brilliance. Years later, when Minho had grown into a young man considering his own path through life, he would remember the lesson his kidnapping had taught him. His mother's love wasn't just gentle bedtime stories and home-cooked meals. It was also the iron will and strategic genius that had built humanity's reputation as a species not to be underestimated or provoked. The pirates had learned too late that when you kidnap a human child, you don't just face angry parents. You face the full might of human civilization, and all the terrible consequences that come with awakening the protective instincts of Earth's children. The galaxy was a dangerous place, but it was a little safer knowing that General Yuna Kim was still watching over those who needed her protection.